if you were to, like, graph human progress over the last 100 years, the line for our technological capability goes straight up, right? Just a near vertical line.
Absolutely, yeah. It's exponential.
But then, if you were to graph human exhaustion, it mirrors that technological curve perfectly.
Which is incredibly counterintuitive when you really think about it.
Right. Because we have built an entire world that's engineered specifically to save us time. And the bizarre result is that we actually have less time and less energy than, any generation of humans in history.
Yeah, we have this absolute peak level of convenience, and yet we are just collectively burnt out.
Exactly. We are completely fried. So why is that?
Well, I mean, it is the defining paradox of our time, right? We just assume that because our tools are highly efficient, our lives will automatically become highly relaxed.
Which definitely isn't happening.
Yeah, no, not at all. And the text we are examining today suggests something much more insidious is happening beneath the surface. It argues we haven't just changed our tools. We've actually altered the fundamental way our minds process reality.
Wow. Okay, well, welcome into today's Deep Dive. Our mission today for you, the listener, is to unpack that exact structural trap.
Yeah, and it's a deep one.
It really is. So we're looking at a translated excerpt from philosophical text. It's called Random Talk About Unconventional Thinking, written by an author named Xuanfeng.
Right.
And what this text argues is that our modern exhaustion isn't just a glitch in the system. It's actually a direct feature of our scientific framework.
Yes. The author proposes this really radical idea that the very way we have been trained to think is, like, literally boxing us in.
So to understand the mechanics of how we got trapped, we can't just look at, modern smartphones or email fatigue.
No, you have to go way deeper than that. Xuanfeng forces us to zoom all the way out and look at the absolute limits of human knowledge. The text actually begins by completely stripping away the mundane stuff and confronting these foundational mysteries that our current systems of thought just, completely fail to answer.
Yeah, he really starts by throwing these massive existential questions right at the reader. I mean, he's asking things like, where do people come from? What is the essence, the purpose, and the value of life? Like, life with a capital L.
Exactly. The really big stuff.
Is life entirely accidental? Or is there a specific trajectory? And, when looking at the birth of the universe, Chauvin places wildly different origin stories right side by side.
Yeah, which is a very bold rhetorical move.
It is, because he asks if it was a greatest creator, or gods, Buddhas, angels, and demons, or on the completely other end of the spectrum, if it was simply billions of years of biological evolution.
And placing those vastly different concepts side by side like that, it's a very deliberate method to level the playing field.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, the author is demonstrating that when we push human inquiry to its absolute edge, the definitive answer just kind of slips away from us. It doesn't matter if we are using a rigid theological framework or a strict scientific one, we still hit a wall.
I'm guessing that's why he groups, like, Albert Einstein and religion together in this section.
Yes, exactly.
Because they both eventually hit a wall where human logic just stops working.
Yeah.
I mean, the text casually name drops Einstein right alongside angels and Buddhas.
Which you don't see very often.
No. And it specifically points out that Einstein doubted quantum mechanics. And he questioned if the uncertainty principle meant the universe was inherently disordered.
Yeah, and that is just the perfect way to look at it. The text uses Einstein to show that even our most rigorous empirical systems, they eventually bottom out into chaos.
Right, at the subatomic level.
Exactly. At that level, quantum mechanics suggests the universe operates on probability and uncertainty, meaning things aren't strictly predictable. And this deeply, deeply unsettled Einstein.
Because he famously argued that the universe must be deterministic.
Right. He did, yeah. So by bringing this up, Xuanfeng is highlighting that at the very bottom of advanced physics, we hit this wall of the unknown that is just as opaque as the mysteries of divine creation.
Wow.
Science basically hasn't solved the existential puzzle any more than pure spirituality has.
It's like we as a species have been handed the most complex jigsaw puzzle in the entire universe.
Oh, I like that.
But whoever handed it to us, they completely threw away the picture on the box.
Yes, the reference image is just gone.
Exactly. We have all these pieces like scientific observations, religious texts, ancient philosophies, but we have absolutely no unified reference image to show us what we are actually supposed to be building.
And because that reference image is missing, Humanity has historically tried to, cobble together an operating manual using these ancient traditions.
Right.
I mean, sages and philosophers across all ethnic groups have spent thousands of years earnestly exploring the mysteries of the universe.
Trying to define the true meaning of life.
Exactly.
But, as Schwinfing details in the text, that historical search didn't give us a unified answer at all. It basically left us with a series of irreconcilable contradictions.
Yeah, these huge, glaring gaps.
Right. The text points to very specific logistical and doctrinal clashes. For example, it contrasts teachings on the value of animal life.
This is a really fascinating part of the text.
It is, because he notes that the Bible states that animals on earth are intended for humans and humans can eat their meat. But then you have the Buddhist Shurangama Sutra, which strictly forbids the killing and eating of animals.
And the author takes it even further by applying this rigorous logic to ancient claims, just to show exactly where they fracture.
Like the Adam and Eve example.
Yes, the logistical problem of Adam and Eve. He asks, if they're truly the singular ancestors of all mankind, how do we possibly account for the geographical and genetic diversity of the world's populations?
Right. The American Indians, Asian yellow races, African blacks, and European whites.
Exactly. How does one couple geographically explain all of that?
And it also questions the mechanisms of ancient philosophical concepts, too. Like, Wenfeng points to Lao Tzu's concept of Tao in the Tao Te Ching,
Right.
asking what exactly the Tao is and if one can genuinely attain immortality by mastering it, or even the concept of destiny. Does everyone have a predetermined trajectory of life?
And if they do, can you actually change it?
Right. But wait, I have to jump in here real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
Because pointing out geographic flaws in the Adam and Eve story or contrasting the meat-eating rules of different faiths, it feels a little like he's just taking cheap shots at religion to prop up a scientific worldview. Like, is he just an atheist poking holes in ancient texts to prove they are obsolete?
I mean, it is really easy to read it that way initially, but that would actually be completely misinterpreting the author's goal here.
Okay, how so?
Well, Schwinfeng is not attempting to debunk religion or champion atheism. He is impartially highlighting the fragmentation of human knowledge.
Ah, so it's not about proving them wrong.
No, not at all. The text isn't saying these traditions are worthless. It is simply pointing out that they failed to provide a singular, structurally sound framework that all of humanity could rely on.
I see.
The contradictions are really just evidence of our incomplete understanding.
So because religion and ancient philosophy left us with these fractured, contradictory pieces of the puzzle, humanity eventually grew pretty frustrated.
Oh, incredibly frustrated. We wanted solid ground.
We needed something we could measure, something that provided, like, tangible progress. And according to the text, that leads us right to the massive societal pivot over the last century.
Where we went all in on science and industrialization.
Exactly. We basically traded the anxiety of the philosophical unknown for the comfort of the measurable world.
That's a great way to frame it. And the rapid advancement of transportation, industrialization, and information technology, I mean, it delivered incredible physical results.
Unprecedented results.
But Zhuanfeng argues that this shift came with a severe cognitive cost. The author states that our vision became limited entirely to the field of science.
Yeah, the phrase he uses is that the light of science has enveloped people's consciousness and thinking.
Which is such a brilliant inversion of how we usually talk about science.
It really is.
Yeah.
Usually we think of the quote-unquote light of science as pure enlightenment, driving away the darkness of ignorance.
Right, illuminating everything.
But the text suggests this blinding light has actually created a shadow. It allows us to gallop freely in what he calls the physical realm of common sense, but completely locks us out of higher-level physical realms.
Let's actually break down those terms, because they are so crucial to the text's core thesis.
Yeah, please do. What exactly is the physical realm of common sense?
So the physical realm of common sense refers to everything we can weigh, measure, calculate, and optimize. It is basically the spreadsheet of reality.
The spreadsheet of reality, I like that.
Right. But by demanding that absolutely everything be measurable, the scientific method automatically filters out things that cannot be quantified.
Things like existential meaning.
Exactly. Existential meaning, intuition, or the deeper overarching purpose of life. Those unquantifiable elements belong to the higher level physical realms.
I see.
And by focusing exclusively on that common sense realm, our capacity for deep abstract contemplation essentially began to atrophy.
The text mentions a really fascinating historical counter-movement to this. Xuanfeng points to the 1950s and 60s, noting that a new era thinking appeared.
Right, yeah.
But he dismisses it as just a, what was it, faint glimmer of rational thinking that the public ultimately couldn't accept.
Yeah, when we look back at the 50s and 60s, we see the rise of these counterculture movements trying to merge Eastern mysticism with Western industrial lifestyle.
Right, trying to find a balance.
Exactly. It was a societal attempt to push back against that rigid procedural mindset of the mid-20th century.
But Xuanfeng calls it just a faint glimmer.
Because it lacked the structural rigor to actually replace the industrial machine. It was really just a momentary rebellion, It
Yeah.
wasn't a new operating system.
Right, the momentum of the scientific worldview was simply way too overpowering.
It swallowed it whole.
So, if ancient wisdom left us with contradictions and the counterculture failed to take root, where does that leave the average person today?
Well, according to the text, it leaves us trapped in the modern education system.
Where we are systematically trained to just ignore the existential void.
Yes. And this is exactly where Xuanfeng introduces the concept of the biological robot.
Such a wild term, biological robot.
It is. He points out that universities around the world produce millions of graduates every single year, but instead of creating enlightened thinkers, they are churning out biological robots.
Wow.
Their thinking runs strictly according to scientific procedures, and it becomes nearly impossible for anyone to break through this existing paradigm.
It's just a chilling visualization. It's like we've spent a century obsessively upgrading the engine of a car to make it go faster and faster, but we completely forgot to install a steering wheel.
Oh, that is spot on.
Right. We have optimized our hardware for maximum efficiency,
Yeah.
but we have absolutely zero direction.
And the education system is essentially the assembly line for that engine. When you are trained in a university setting today, your cognitive pathways are standardized.
You learn to follow the formula.
Right. You learn to solve for X within a very predefined set of parameters. But if you encounter a problem that cannot be solved with a scientific procedure,
Like, why am I here?
exactly, or what is the value of my life, your brain literally does not know how to process it. You have been systematically trained to discard questions that don't have quantifiable answers.
Which brings us right back to the brutal reality of our current society that we started the deep dive with. The text outlines this modern paradox of progress perfectly.
It really does.
Because logically, following the rules of our procedural mindset, the accumulation of all this technology and wealth should yield a very specific positive result.
Yes. The author lays out the physical facts so clearly. Compared to the past, we have vastly more knowledge. We have unimaginable material wealth. We use advanced methods to create absolutely everything we need. We eat better, we wear better clothes, we have endless entertainment.
We have everything.
By any historical metric, we are infinitely richer.
Therefore, the scientific formula dictates that people should be more leisurely, freer, and far more relaxed.
That's the expected output of the algorithm.
Exactly. If you automate survival, you should get to enjoy life.
But the reality on the ground is the exact inverse. The accelerated pace of modern life leaves us with absolutely no time to calm down and actually think.
None at all.
We are simply too busy with our daily activities, so we feel profoundly exhausted and constantly stressed.
Because the procedure never actually ends. We just stopped asking what is the purpose of life and replaced it with, how can I process my inbox 10% faster?
Yeah, complete shift in priorities.
So the exhaustion we are feeling isn't a failure of our technology at all. It is a fundamental failure of our thinking.
Yes, we essentially traded meaning for metrics.
Oof, say that again. Meaning for metrics.
It's true. When you strip away the deeper existential architecture of life and replace it entirely with procedural efficiency, the inevitable result is this deep psychological hollowness.
Wow.
You are burning massive amounts of mental energy running an optimization program all day, but you are completely disconnected from any higher destination.
So you're just spinning your wheels.
Exactly. The stress is just a symptom of your operating system being fundamentally misaligned with your deeper human nature. We aren't designed to be biological robots.
Man, that is heavy. And this all builds to the ultimate challenge that Xuanfeng poses at the very end of the text.
The big question.
Right. He asks a simple but truly devastating question. Is there something fundamentally wrong with the way that humans have been thinking for thousands of years?
It's a huge thing to consider.
It is. And do we desperately need unconventional thinking?
Because the text is really a call for a massive cognitive paradigm shift. It is a stark warning that doubling down on our current logic, trying to optimize our way out of burnout with just another time management app or another scientific
It's
procedure.
only going to make us more exhausted.
Exactly. The trap is the procedure itself.
So we have to fundamentally change the way we approach the world, which means we have to consciously break the programming.
Yes, we have to interrupt the routine.
We've explored the limits of ancient traditions, we've looked at the blinding shadow of modern science, and we've analyzed the exhausting reality of living as a biological robot. But, exploring the source material is really only half the journey.
It is. The real test is how this applies to you listening to us right now.
Exactly. Because understanding the mechanism of the trap is just the first step to actually stepping out of it.
So true.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over as you step back into your day.
I love this part.
If our modern high-speed society has indeed programmed us to act like biological robots running strictly on efficiency-driven procedures, what would one truly unconventional thought look like for you today?
Mm.
If you were to intentionally stop your daily programming for just 1 hour tomorrow, no optimization, no screens, no measuring your output, absolutely no trying to be productive, what exactly would you do with that completely unscripted, unmeasurable time?
It's a tough question, honestly. Facing an hour with zero procedures and zero metrics forces you to just sit with the unquantifiable parts of yourself.
Yeah, which can be scary.
It is deeply uncomfortable, yeah, but it might be the only way to actually start finding that missing picture on the puzzle box.
I think you're absolutely right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into random talk about unconventional thinking. Keep questioning the structures around you, keep exploring those higher level realms, and we will catch you next time.